Hey. So, basically, my lips don't match up right now. How are you? This is Editor Billy from the future, coming at you to say that OBS kind of crapped out on me again because I recorded all this footage that you're currently seeing. And, for some reason, it set my mic audio to default as a source and not my headset. So all the footage I've recorded doesn't have audio. So I'm kind of pissed about that. But basically, I'll summarize what's going on the past 3 days. So this first clip that we're seeing was recorded, I want to say, back on, it was June 28th. It was a Tuesday at a little after 8 in the evening. And basically I had this spontaneous idea of running out to the store, and as you can see, it has to do with Far Lone Sales, the Far games. And basically I had this idea of making a costume or cosplay or whatever of Far Lone Sales character, which was Lone Henriksen. Basically I hopped on my bike and went to the store and I bought this stuff. As you can see, as I throw the plush on the bed, we have fabric and buckles and stuff. Now don't worry, but the buckles actually don't end up working out in the end. I'm just gonna spoil that for you now. So what we have here, we have this red fabric here, and then we have some white fabric as well. And granted, the camera isn't picking up on the nice actual color of the redness of the fabric, but it's like a stretchy spandex, like nice fabric, and so is the white, even though the white is like blinding your eyes out right now. So we have that, and then off to the side you can see we have some red thread and some white thread. The red almost perfectly matches the fabric. I did a really good job on picking that out. And then we also see that we have some zip ties, and the zip ties are going to be used, well, they were going to be used to structure the top of the hat, but I ended up not doing that, and it's fine, so whatever. But I ended up actually using them in the collar, at the top of the collar of the coat. So that's about that there. So yeah. Okay. Hi, it's the next day. So it is now Wednesday, June 29th, and as you can see, we're all set up. I moved all my shit out of the way. We're just gonna ignore all the plushies in the background. Yes, I know they're staring at you. Just ignore them. Here, I'll move. I'll turn the kitty around. Alright, no more mochi kitty. So we're gonna. Alright, so they're not staring, I swear. So we have the setup. We have the fabric out. What we're about to do now is we're gonna take measurements for the outfit. So what we're gonna do first, basically, I'm gonna do it exactly the same as how I made the plushie. Just I'm gonna scale it up to size for me. Basically, the coat is going to be made in sections. So the bottom red stripe is going to be one section, then the white, then the top red piece are going to be, you know, cut separately and then sewn together. They're all going to be different lengths. So here you can see I have this journal. On the right page, we have Lone Sales coat measurements. And we're going to take measurements here and we're going to write them down on that page. So here we have the sleeve measurements, which ended up being like 29 inches. We're just gonna ignore all that shit, and we're gonna go down to the bottom. So bottom red, that's the bottom red panel of the jacket. That's gonna be about 14 inches in length, like top to bottom. So, and I'm not pointing to that at the moment, so let me scroll ahead. So that's about 14 inches. The white middle stripe is going to be about 10 inches long, and the top red piece is going to be about 13 inches. And they're all going to be about 37.5 inches around. Now, mind you, that actually, I changed that later to 38.5 because I realized I should account for seam allowance. That's the word, seam allowance. You have to leave room for seam allowance, but that's not the case. What I realized is I wanted to have the edges of where the pieces would meet together to form like where you would open and close the jacket. I wanted to fold over the edges so it gives it a thicker edge, so it gives it like a nice feel to it, so it's not just like the thin material there. And that's why I added an extra inch and made it 38.5, and I didn't explain that later on, and I forgot to fix my camera so it would autofocus again, so I forgot about that. So I took those measurements, and here we see we have the first piece cut out, and that's the bottom piece of the jacket. And basically what I also did, I marked out the middle of it. As you can see, I'm pointing there, there's a little white chalk line. That's the what that I'm gonna fold over the ends to meet that. So they're about 1/2 inch on either side is the folded over amount, and then I sewed that shut. Now I actually don't ever show any clips of me actually doing any sewing because I like to concentrate, and I didn't want all this extra footage eating up, you know, my heart on my computer. But as you can see, I'm pointing to that white line there. That is the middle, and I ended up cutting out a little triangle at the once I finished the whole thing in the back of the bottom piece, so that way the coattails could like move fluidly and not possibly rip and whatnot. So here we have the white. Now the white fabric was a lot sheerer than the red fabric, so I had to fold this over twice. So that means there was 4 layers of white, like 4 different layers if you counted 1, 2, 3, 4. So I folded it over twice, so that way it was opaque enough so that you couldn't see through it. So I had to do that, and then I had to sew that all together. So I sewed together the white. Here's my sewing machine. I got this from my aunt. I got this after my first sewing machine that I bought from Michael's, and I stopped using that because there was no variable speed. It was just you press down on the pedal and it's just on. So this has variable speed, and a lot of other settings. I don't know anything about the settings. Don't ask me. I know absolutely jack shit. I just used the basic single stitch have the needle in the middle, you know. So I don't do any fancy stuff. So it's just basic stitching together, and yeah, and then I ended up with a really nice looking coat. So yeah, and we're gonna fast forward a bit through this as well. So I'm talking about the white piece. So I'm about to, oh shit, wow, okay. So wow, I just went with it. So here we see I made sleeves. So I sewed it all together, obviously, and I think this was, oh no, this was after. Alright, I fucked up the sleeves. I decided, I'm like, alright, I marked out the sleeves. The sleeve holes were perfectly sized, alright, and I marked it out where I thought it would be perfect, and it was not perfect. And I made the holes too high up. So I had to take it off. Basically, it didn't give me enough of a collar. So as you can see here, I'm showing you, I made this piece and I covered up like that. Basically, it went on the inside of the coat and it covered up like half of the circle. And then I cut out more of the bottom of the circle, so it basically lowered it. And then that allowed me to give, you know, bigger sleeve. Well, bigger collar, I mean, not bigger sleeve. So that kind of fixed it. So here we have, that's basically the inside of the coat. And yeah. So, oh shit, and then we just jumped to sleeves. Okay. As you can see, it's much later in the evening here. But I have sleeves. And as you can see, I'm wearing that skinny black whatever thing. And I'm explaining, yeah, the t-shirt did not work. Oh, and I have the buckle on. The buckle I end up taking off the following day because I realized it didn't bring as you can see, it doesn't bring the edges of the coat where it meets up together close enough. So I didn't like that, so I ended up taking the buckle off. And then I ended up buying Velcro the following day, which you will see. But yeah, also I noticed that the collar didn't want to cooperate, so it was being very picky, and I didn't like that. So I ended up, you know, here I'm also explaining, as you can see, why it has structure. I put zip ties in the edge of the collar there, up on the lengthwise, going up the edges of the jacket where they would meet. I put zip ties in there. My stitching was actually perfect, perfectly wide enough that I could actually stick the zip tie in without having to make a channel for it, which I thought was actually perfect on my behalf. But yeah, I'm explaining all that, and yeah, that's pretty much that there. So then we move on to the following day, and everything's different, as you can see, because I went to the store. I went back to Walmart on my bike, and as you can see, I bought some stuff. So I bought this huge fold-out cardboard flat thing that was by the Singer Sewing Company. It would cost me $5. Granted, it's cardboard, so yeah, no wonder why it's kind of cheap. But it's huge, and it has all these measurements on it, so I can use this for like all my long big measurements that are too small for like the fabric to fit on my easel for me to then use like my tape measure. I can lay it out on this, do all the measurements on it, mark it up, then fold the cardboard flat thing away, and I stored it in between my mattress and my footboard of my bed, and then I pulled my easel forward, laid the fabric out, and did the cutting and cut the shit out of my easel because there was wood chippings everywhere, and I really wanted to buy a cutting mat, but I didn't because it was money that I didn't want to spend. But here, as you can see, my solution to the coat was Velcro. Sew on Velcro strips, and that's basically what I did, and I ended up putting 5 of those going down in evenly spaced increments of about 3.5 inches in between each other. Starting like maybe about like 5 inches from the top of the collar, I'd say. So, I ended up not doing that first. What I did work on first was the collar stability. And here you can see what I figured out on how I decided to make the collar stable. And that was, I found this foam stuff. This foam here is a foam stabilizer or something. It's some fancy term for this really thin foam that holds its shape. It's basically just regular thin foam. But basically, that you can, it's 100%, you can use it, it's compatible with a sewing machine, so you can sew through it without, you know, your needles breaking. And that's what I did for the collar here. So basically, I took a sheet of fabric, and I, you know, cut it to the same length as the collar, and then I sewed that onto the top of the collar, and then I put the foam on the inside, and yeah, that was that. And now I have like a thicker collar. And then I went on to do, here you can see me, the skinny ass shirt. I'm really skinny. And here you can see I put the Velcro on too, so I have a stable. I also put, alright, in this scene, I just jumped right to the conclusion, my bad. Wow, okay. I guess, wow, I just did everything without telling you what I was doing. I must have got lazy. So here we see I also put a cuff on the sleeve, basically the same thing that I did for the collar of the coat, I did for the end of the sleeves. I cut out like a strip of fabric, I sewed it on, and then I fed in more of that foam stuff into the sleeve, so it gave it like a puffed sleeve effect. And then I did the Velcro, I did it in little strips, so it fits perfect too. And now I said that I was going to end off the episode here. Well, not end off the episode, but I said I was gonna stop for the night here, and then I was gonna quickly just, you know, do the measurements. Well, not the measurements, but like trace out like the shape on the foam for the hat, and then I was gonna clean up and go to bed. And I didn't do that. I ended up just full on making the hat. As you can see, also, yeah, holding my thing here, but the hat is perfect. It, like, shape-wise, it looks weird to me. It doesn't look perfect like the hat from the game, and I feel like it needs to be curved up more on the edges of the brim, but I can't figure out how to do that without, you know, making it look stupid. So I think I'm just gonna leave it how it is. But it turned out great. And then, of course, I decided to take pictures and whatnot. But other than that, I then decided to take it out side and, you know, have a little backdrop scenery. So I will show you what that looks like right now. Hi. I don't know how well you can hear me, but I found myself a pier and I'm sitting on it. And just thinking about things, you know. I was going to possibly try playing a song. I have my violin with me right here. But it's way too windy and I don't want to risk anything falling off of this into the water. Especially like my phone. And I'm pretty sure that you're probably all having a hard time hearing me because of the wind. But I took some pictures. I figured I need some little bit here to put at the end of the video. Other than just pictures, so. Also, I don't have my hat on because it's way too windy and I don't have a strap for it, so. Just here at the edge of the this time, there's nobody to come rescue me. So I'm truly so I'll leave it here with my messy hair. See ya.